You are now listening to Vigilantes Radio, presented by the Only One Media Group. This is the people's choice for quality interviews, celebrities and special guests. Hosted by Demetrius Dinny Reynolds. Call in to join the mix at 701-801-9813. For the complete archive of episodes, visit onlyonemediagroup.com and be sure to like us on Facebook at Vigilantes Radio. We welcome all. Enjoy the show. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome your host, Demetrius Houdini Black Reynolds. Enjoy the show.
Yo, what is happening? I'm your host, Dini, and I just want to welcome you guys to another awesome episode of Vigilantes Radio. And it is awesome because we have a very special guest. We'll be talking about the series. Sounds intriguing, doesn't it? Oh, yes, it does. So we are the people who have dedicated their weekdays and nights to music, books, films, news, business ventures, conspiracies, and just talk in general. From our incredible writing and promotion here on our new Facebook page, be sure to like us, by the way. You can find us at facebook.com/Vigilantes Radio, to our interviews and music show here on Vigilantes Radio, which is what you're listening to now, or our I guess you can call it like everyday conversation, spiritual talk on a show we got called Skeptics. And it's a little bit of humor, a little bit of smarts, a little bit of everything. So check that show out as well. Or our brand new show called Hated It. And that's where Mike and I review movies of all kinds and do voiceover comedy. We spend each and every day giving our maximum effort to create a vibrant, exciting indie and professional community for all creative minds that coexist in this beautiful artistic world. Oh yeah, our special guest tonight is the creator of the series. Her name is Mary-Beth-Eversole. Sounds intriguing, doesn't it? Oh, yeah. All right, so, yeah, with that, let's go ahead and bring her on, shall we? Hello, Mary-Beth. You're on the lines with us now. How's it going?
It's going great. How are you?
Doing great, doing great. So, what is new? What is up? I know this is a very exciting time for you guys.
Yeah, it is. So with the series, we're actually in the middle of a campaign right now on Indiegogo, getting things done there, and we're also amping up for pre-production and casting and all sorts of things to get this thing, the first episode at least, shot in September. If we can find funding for the whole series, then we'll shoot the whole series in September, but at least episode 1 for sure.
Yeah, can all those episodes be done in 1 month?
For shooting?
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. They can be done, within a month, because each episode is a standalone short film, which is going to be, each one is about 15 minutes long. It takes 3 to 5 days to shoot a short, usually more like 3. This first episode is going to take a few more days just because it's got some intense prosthetics and CGI stuff going on. So,
gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so we know September is right around the corner.
Yes.
How will you celebrate that event when it's all said and done?
I think I'm just going to take a big breath of sigh of relief. This has been, I'll tell you what, this started as just one single short film based on my life story. I've had a lot of traumas in my life, and I was watching a film on Netflix, and it prompted me to be like, I need to write about this, because it was about a topic that I have experienced, which is eating disorder, and I just felt the need to write. So I wrote, and in one night I wrote this script, and then I just felt this pull, this nudge to be like, okay, you need to make this. And then I thought to myself, I have a director friend who is an artist and fantastic, and he's the only one who wanted to do it. And so I called him and said, what do you think about this crazy idea? And he was like, absolutely, let's do it. But it's grown exponentially from there. It's turned from a short film into a series. It's become a movement. We've got movements on Facebook and Instagram and Twitter called #HealYourNarrative and #FaceYourTrauma. And we've got followers just every day. We're building followers and receiving fan mail saying, please do this, keep doing this. People are sharing their stories with us. It's pretty insane. And that's the whole point of this series, is to let people know you're not alone. Yeah. And that sharing your story is the first step to true healing. So.
Right. So you're in deep now, so you have to complete it, right?
We have to.
You have to.
Well, and it's more of a honestly, it's become a calling for me. It's like I don't just have to, I want to, and I think it's necessary for where we are today as a society. So.
Okay. So the series basically started out about your story.
Yeah.
So the other episodes that will be included in the series, like where are those stories coming from?
Those are coming from the people that have written into us. Wow. The episodes are based on true stories. We're kind of because it's a docudrama, not an actual documentary. Because we wanted the delving into the mind, dramatic, imagined world to happen. We're kind of cobbling together a bunch of people's stories about the same trauma, where everyone who's written in, their stories are individual to themselves, but also there's similarities between all of them that are about relationship abuse, and there's similarities on how they got out or what they had to do to get out. And then there's a myriad of healing forces that they've used to heal from it since then. And I think it's one of those things where if we make that episode about those stories, but we create this one protagonist that's experiencing these things, when we take it into hospitals or battered women's shelters, each individual is going to see themselves in that protagonist and, grab onto something, at least one thing we're hoping that can, encourage them to continue in their path to healing, or encourage them to finally speak up, break the silence, and get out of the harmful situations that they're in.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I think we definitely need this. Definitely.
Yeah.
Need this. Yeah. So what ideas will you be able to take with you into the next phase after this first episode is completed?
I think the idea is that, because this first episode is easy for me because it's my story, so it's like I know exactly what was going on in my brain when I was at the height of my eating disorder and, going through those traumas. What I'm taking with me into the rest of the episodes is learning other people's stories, being a part of them breaking the chains just by them sharing their story with me so that I can write a script about it, and I get chills when I talk about it because it's like that is the whole point, yeah. and then to bring it to this larger audience, and we talked about initially just taking into like hospitals and addiction recovery units like that, but now we're talking about taking into universities and schools, taking it like a preventative thing, and showing kids and teens that it starts even with bullying, things like that, and just say, you don't have to go down this road. If you see these things, or if you recognize these symptoms in yourself, if you recognize these traumas, you think you're a part of this, speak up. It's okay. You don't have to feel ashamed. You don't have to feel guilty or fearful, so it's the audience is growing, and those are the ideas we're taking. The idea is expansion, I think, as we move into these other episodes.
Right. All right. And you write from like an internalized point of view.
I do.
Describe your mindset that you find yourself writing in.
So again, like I said, that first episode was extremely personal for me. It was almost cathartic in a way. It was some traumas, especially with the Me Too movement coming up this past year. That was one of my traumas, and I had ignored it for until this year. And, I have had a bunch of traumas, and I had acknowledged and dealt with the other traumas, but that one was one that was still sticking with me, and I couldn't figure out why I was still in pain. And when the Me Too movement happened, that came up, and I was like, oh, okay. And, that's the mindset that I'm in, is that, like, okay, even though you think you have faced everything, if you're still feeling pain, then there's still more stuff to go through. And so when I'm writing these other episodes with these other people in mind and their experiences, I'm trying to dig as deep as possible, get inside their minds and show people that love them, or show the people that haven't been through that trauma what it's like on a daily basis in the mind of someone who's traumatized. And so as the writer, I kind of have to go there, and thankfully I have a lot of tools in place that help me not go down the rabbit hole too far. But yeah, that's kind of the place I have to be, and I have to really let myself go there.
Yeah. So is there like a real way for some viewers who have been through trauma and tragic events to like find inspirations to deal with their issues or past or pain?
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's the whole healing forces aspect of our film series and our movement, Heal Your Trauma, Heal Your Narrative is what it's called. And it's about sharing healing forces. There's the obvious ones, like getting therapy, which is crucial if you have PTSD. But there's other types of healing forces, something as minute as writing in your journal on, every day, and basically just telling your story, somehow getting your story out of you and told, acknowledging that you went through it, that it exists, that it wasn't your fault, and that that you want to move past it. That is really the step to true healing, and you do have to face it. You have to face your trauma in order to start healing from it. A cool part about the each episode is this room of mirrors, which is how I portray my mind, and facing my trauma is that when I go down the rabbit hole into my mind, it is a room of mirrors, and it's this like hellish atmosphere with a she-devil, which was representing the trauma and the eating disorder, and looking in the mirror and seeing this dysmorphed body, seeing the little vignettes of the traumas, and then and then coming out the other side, doing battle and coming out the other side, and using the healing forces like family and friends, like therapy, journaling, any body movement, healing movement like yoga, or anything like that, fitness. The cool part is we've had with these movements and the people writing in, we asked everybody to do 3 words. We asked everyone to write what their trauma was in 1 or 2 words, to write what their healing force was in 1 or 2 words, and to write their current state of mind. And just from that list, we've got like hundreds of healing forces just from various people. Music being one of the biggest ones, by the way.
Yeah. I could imagine that.
Yeah, so that's how this film is meant to start the conversation, be the catalyst to allow people to realize that they don't have to be afraid to share their story, and also to provide the resources to start healing.
Yeah. And the graphics that's promoting this first episode is actually a person standing in a room full of mirrors.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
I like that analogy too. It's I thought it went well. Like for that series, it really allows like whoever's looking at the picture to interpret like their own I guess traumatic events from that, because in actuality you are looking at yourself, you are judging yourself immensely, versus the pop culture of the world that's happening around you. I thought it was pretty dead on.
Thank you. Yeah, it's all about facing your inner true self and saving yourself, honestly.
Yeah. So how long is the first episode?
The first episode's going to be about, we think, 15, possibly 18 minutes, depending on how long the fight sequence goes on.
How do you know, Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh, no. And then the rest of the episodes are going to be between 15 and 22 minutes. So.
Okay. Like 15 to 18 minutes. That's pretty short to me. How do you know that you will be able to capture like everything that needed to be portrayed in that time frame of film?
So that's a really good question. After I wrote the script, I kind of went back and forth on whether I should expand it and turn it into something more like a feature. But then I thought to myself, I really want to portray what it's like inside the mind of someone who is struggling. And when you're at the height of your struggle after being traumatized, it's intense, like real intense, every day. And so I wanted to capture that intensity. And so you're kind of at a 10 from like the first minute in until the last 2 minutes, So, and it's my CGI guy was like, that's quite the ride when he read the script, but that's the point, is to give an example of this is what it's like. We want people who are suffering to know that somebody else knows how that feels. And we want the people who aren't suffering, but who love the ones that are suffering, to see what it's like so that they can get some sense of understanding. One of the biggest things that happened when I was hospitalized with anorexia, I was 69 pounds and 5'8", and I was given a week to live. And I was in the hospital for 2.5 months. Yeah, it was pretty intense. And I was in the hospital for 2.5 months, and we would have family Saturdays where we would all get in a group, and the families would come in and be with their the patients, who were mostly daughters, and they would say, okay, who wants to get up and share? And like, of course, none of the patients ever got up to share, so they would bring in guest speakers to talk about the experience of going through anorexia, bulimia, and recovering from it. And I remember my parents saying years later, they were like, we always wished you would have gotten up and spoken, because we just didn't understand what you were going through, even though we watched you wither away. We couldn't get inside your head. And that stuck with me. So this is a glimpse inside the head of someone who's traumatized. So.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if sometimes I believe I live under a rock. And, for a time, like, eating disorders were a main focus. Like, America was, like, super focused on, like, eating disorders. And then it kind of just went away. So I don't know if, like, other world events happened, issues, kind of took a light away from that, those movements and those interventions. But tell us, like, is it still that bad? Is it still affecting young people?
Honestly, it's...
go ahead.
Yeah. I was just going to say it's worse, honestly. Eating disorders have always been somewhat of a taboo subject, and sometimes they'll come to the limelight for a little while because, maybe a model looks too thin or something like that. But that's the problem. It's always based on what a celebrity looks like or what a model looks like, and just one person. And we're not really looking at the place where it's really a problem, which is in the schools and, and amongst our young women and men, because men get them not as frequently, but they do. And in the military, honestly, there's a raging statistic that I just read from the National Health and Mental Health Institute that 60% of women that are in the military say that they have eating disorders, have experienced eating disorders while in the military, and 97% of the Marines that are women have eating disorders. And, it's just not talked about. And it's the thing with eating disorders and body dysmorphia. Well, body dysmorphia is a whole other thing, but they go hand in hand. The thing with eating disorders is it's a lot about control. So when you feel like your life is out of control and you don't have a substance to control except for maybe your food, that's what you go to. Just like an alcoholic goes to a drink when they feel like their life is out of control. And it's that way with food, and it's that way with overeating as well, which is an epidemic in this country, especially. So, the eating disorder is the same. It's the same symptoms, just different sides of the spectrum for overeaters and anorexics and bulimics. So, Yeah.
Okay. All right. So tell me about like the creative freedom that you believe you have in choosing what you would like to show the world.
I love it. I will say this. I love the fact that nowadays we have these multiple platforms that are more easily accessible by artists that are not well-known names to get their work seen and to get their voices heard. I don't necessarily know, unless I was a part of a famous family or something, if 20 years ago I would have been able to do this. But nowadays I've got interest from interested parties who are like, yeah, we want to help you make this because it needs to be heard. And I have the ability to do that. I love that. And I get to retain a lot of the creative control over my project. Whereas again, 20 years ago, a studio would have picked it up and that would be it. I would have no say, and I really, this project is close to my heart and I want to see it made right. And I honestly don't care if it makes any money. I care that it gets out to the people that need it.
Yeah.
So that's where I'm at.
Okay. Do you have any advice for like new producers and writers who are just starting out, why it's so important to retain as much creative control of your art that they possibly could?
Here's what I've learned. So I'm an actress by trade, and a musician, and I fell into producing because I wrote these things. So, and I had another series that I did, unscripted series last year for food allergies, Allergy Actors Cooking, and I became a producer for that as well. And so it's just one of those things where I've just like learned as I've gone along, and boy, have I learned so much. And thankfully, I've had some really excellent mentors. I'd say the first thing is get a mentor that you trust, that has been producing for a long time and is knowledgeable about the current state of affairs in the industry, because it does shift so quickly that you need to know what's going on, because it's different than it was 5-10 years ago. And so, get a mentor that will help you. Once I found some people who gave me some excellent advice, and kind of have been helping me along the way, I started getting my footing, and then I felt like I could come back to the creativity part of it, because for a while, when you start producing your own stuff, it becomes all about the business and about how do we get this funded, and you lose sight sometimes of what the purpose of the whole project is. And I found myself getting down about that, and I just had to take a day or so a few months back and say, okay, why am I doing this? What is this? I am doing this to help people that have been through similar circumstances that I have, or similar circumstances that those who are sharing their stories have. So that's my purpose as the creator of this. As far as the producing side of it goes, I'm learning as I go. I'm bringing in trusted mentors, and that will get figured out. But if you lose the creative quality of your project, then you've got nothing to pitch, So the quality of what you create is of the utmost importance. And I would say, as a creator, always make that your number one.
Self-doubt is one of the greatest nemesis of everybody, I guess. Will we see remedies and stories of overcoming this plague of self-doubt? Absolutely. Yeah. Again, coming back to those healing forces. And you actually get to witness each protagonist battle and succeed in overcoming and managing their traumas and the repercussions of those traumas, and come out the other side having used the healing forces that they used to start to heal. The first step being to face your trauma and share the story. That's staring in the mirror, taking a good look at your true self, and finding that inner child that we all have that's been in so much pain for so long, and starting to take care of it. Yeah, you're going to see that. And we also, on our Facebook page right now, we actually have a giant list of resources already where people can go to. It's our pinned post. Go to @I_the movie on Facebook,
and you can find almost every resource hotline for any mental disorder that or any trauma you've been through, and you can find those resources there already. Something that we plan to do at the end of each film is to include the resources particular to that episode. You know, like if it's suicide prevention, we'll provide the suicide hotline. If it's eating disorders, we'll provide the website for the National Eating Disorder organization. So, yeah, we're going to have a lot of that. And then, like I said, in the dramatic film itself, you're going to see the person walk through those healing forces. So,
yeah, all right, awesome.
Mm-hmm.
That's good stuff. So define what success means to Mary-Beth.
You know, it's evolved over the years that I've been in this industry, and I came from a previous career, still in the performing arts, but I was a professional opera singer. And then one of the traumas that I experienced was a career-ending car accident that damaged my neck and my vocal cords. So I had to find a different way to have my voice be heard, I guess you would say. And I had always been an actress, and I was like, let's try this. So, you know, for a long time, I thought success meant being at the top of your game, being, you know, in the top 1% of whatever field you're in. And it's evolved for me. Success for me now is being healthy and at peace with myself and the work that I am doing. And if it's helping even one person in this world, then I am succeeding.
Yes. I like that. Are you putting any pressure upon yourself to achieve like some level of recognition or popularity from the series?
No, not for me. No. What I am putting my pressure on is to get it made, get it funded so that it can help the people it needs to help. Okay. So here's a non-traditional question for you, like right off the top. Any religion or spirituality in your life? I will say that I was raised Christian, and I am definitely spiritual. So I don't associate myself with any particular church or religion now, but I definitely feel that I'm a spiritual being. I feel like I'm a warrior light of God, however people may perceive that, you know. So that I'm a light worker, and I have been put here on this earth to do that work.
Light worker as in like indigo?
And indigo, like light worker, like you know, help people.
Yeah, but that's basically an indigo, crystalline, star seed. It's just, you know, different labels for light workers, I guess you can say.
Yeah.
But why the change, like from a, well, you know, Christianity can be like a religion sometimes, I guess.
It is a religion, yes.
Yeah. Well, I guess, you know, I guess, yeah. So why the change from like a traditional religion to just being spiritual?
So I turned away from the church when I was at my sickest, partly because I hated myself so much that I couldn't imagine that a God existed that could love me, and that was part of it. But the other part of it was that I was severely bullied at my church, in my youth group, and that just I felt betrayed. I think I felt like the people that were supposed to be uplifting and supporting me were throwing stones, you know, and as my physical form became worse and worse, the bullying just became worse and worse. So, you know, but yeah, I mean, a lot of it was internal conflict with being angry with the deity that I had been raised to believe was true. And it took a long time for me to kind of find my path back to the universe and God and what I consider my spiritual deity now. So.
Right. Okay. That's cool. We did a podcast last night about the leading cause of atheism, and well, we blamed it on the Catholics, but nevertheless, our special guest last night, she basically had the same interpretation of Christianity, that people at her church were just so judgmental that it just caused her to, you know, just turn away. I mean, she believed in and a higher being, but not just the organized religion part.
Right. And I think you find that in all facets of religion, but I think you also find, I do have to say this, my mother and my father and my sister are deeply religious still, and they're some of the most loving, wonderful people I've ever known in my life, as is their community of people at their church now. And, you know, I think it's a little bit about interpretation of the teachings of the various religions, but I think it also comes down to the perspective of the individual, and being willing to be, turn towards love instead of hate, that kind of thing. And I think that I witnessed my mother she's always had such a deep faith, and it truly does help her, and it helps that's what she turns to when she's in pain, and it helps her work through. That's how she's worked through her traumas. So not to say that it's I don't think any religion is awful. I think that it's up to the person to interpret what it is for them, but I also don't think that it should be used to, how do I put this politically correctly? I don't think it should be used to criticize others because they're not of the same belief. So. Definitely.
So that brings us to our next question. Like, will the subject of religion or spirituality come up in your series?
One of our episodes is about a girl who was horribly harassed in high school for wearing her hijab. And I got to interview her personally. She was one of the models that showed up for our photo shoot for Instagram. And I hadn't met her before, but she filled out the form and she shared her story with me. When she was talking to me, she said she had moved from where she came from on the East Coast to LA because she had heard that people were more welcoming here for people who wear the hijab. And I mean, just the fact that she had to move, first of all, is just asinine, but she's just terrified. She lives in fear. She literally has PTSD and fears for her life if she wears her hijab. And it's a strong statement in her faith to wear the hijab. She views it as a strong statement of femininity, and a strong statement of her beliefs in her faith, which are beautiful beliefs. And when I asked her, I invited her, I said, look, why don't you come to our event next week? We're having a healing event. You could just wear it there. It's in a closed space. Everybody's welcoming there. And she started to cry because it triggered her so much. She was so fearful. She said, I just don't think I can. And I'm so disappointed in myself because I'm too ashamed and afraid to wear it again because I fear that I will be injured, or killed for wearing it. And, that's not okay. So that's one of our episodes is going to be about her story.
Wow. I can't wait for that one.
Yeah.
Okay. So, Mary-Beth, you reached our end, the Vigilantes Radio open floor, where you can say anything that you would like to, or thank any distant relatives that you haven't seen for a while, or even better yet, give those social media links out so that we all can connect with you.
Absolutely. Let's give those social media shout outs. So, you can go to our campaign funding page, which is it's our website through Indiegogo, at ithemovie.org. So it's the letter I and then themovie.org. We're funding for the next 2 weeks. And then after that, the website will just be its own website. And then our social media pages, which I highly encourage people to go check those out because we've had so much with the movements on the Facebook and Instagram especially. So both Facebook and Instagram are the same. They are at I_the_movie. And that's the letter I. And then on Twitter, we are at ithemovie and the number 1, all just run together.
Nice. And guys, just in case you didn't get those links or you didn't have time to jot them down, I have them in the description of this episode, so all you have to do is click the links. It'll take you right to it, I promise you. All right, we just want to thank you so much for your time, Mary-Beth-Eversole. It's been a real honor, and we're proud to have you here on our show, so all the best to you. But before we go, we actually have a segment that we call the hot seat. So would you like to participate?
Yeah, I think I can have a little piece of a composition I could play for you guys.
All right, cool. All right, guys. So after the music break, it'll be time for our usual tradition, like I just said. It is called our hot seat, and our fans love this part of the segment, of course, along with the actual interview, but the audience get to hear Mary Beth perform some vocals for us, maybe poetry, inspirational speeches, spoken word, freestyle rap, joke stories, or maybe even live instruments. You never know if the and vessels will produce in the spotlight, and tonight we'll find out if Mary-Beth-Eversole has what it takes to be put on the spot, a test of her true artistry, and maybe even some hidden talents. But for right now, we have an artist by the name of Beto Hale with this song called Orbs of Light, and we'll be right back.
Your
All right, we are back. That was our good friend Beto Hell, all the way from Brazil. And with this song, Orbs of Light. Guys, what do you know about circles and boundaries? Around every circle, a larger circle may be drawn. Around every fence, there is an open field that is waiting to be cultivated and harvested. Around every set of limitations, there is a limitless expanse of possibilities. Around every experience, there are larger and more meaningful experiences. Beyond every horizon, there is a world of discovery. It is yours if only you will make it yours. A universe filled with abundance awaits you if you would just accept it. When you are standing on the ground, the horizon is only a few miles away. On a mountaintop, the horizon expands to dozens of miles. In an aeroplane, the horizon can be hundreds of miles away. In a spacecraft orbiting the Earth, there are thousands of miles between the horizons. And when you leave Earth orbit, the horizon is infinite. Where is your mind's horizon? You can choose to bounce back and forth off the walls of your limitations, or you can choose to transcend those limitations and expand your horizons. You are only limited by the boundaries you place on yourself. Rise above your limitations, expand your thinking, and consider the possibilities. Take that from me, Dini-Mussolini. That is my word, and word is bump. But right now, let's bring back on our guest of honor, Mary-Beth-Eversole. You're now back live with us in our hot seat.
What's up?
What do you have for us?
Well, I was like, what do I do? So I think I'm going to play a composition that I wrote a few years back in honor of my family. I gave it to them for Christmas.
Awesome.
And it's a piano composition, and it's called Family. So, easy peasy. And there you go.
Nice. That was so nice.
Thanks.
All right, mary-beth-eversole, we definitely thank you so much for being our guest tonight. It was definitely an honor and privilege to interview you and talk about I, the series, or are we calling it I, the movie?
It's I, the series, and I think we're actually going to be shifting the title to Invisible Wounds, but it hasn't happened yet, so we're keeping it I, the series right now.
Thank
you. The website is ithemovie.org, and it's because each film is like a standalone short film, but the 6 of them together are a series. So,
okay,
yeah,
awesome. All right, well, thank you, and have a pleasant night.
Thank you so much. You too.
Thank you, my Vigilantes family, as always, for checking out my podcast over here at Vigilantes Radio. All episodes are available for free download, and you can grab that from either Spreaker.com/only1mediagroup, iTunes, YouTube, any app that's on a Google Play or iTunes store, or our website, and that goes from every single episode that we've ever aired. If you'd like to request music or a particular guest or send something for me to play, email it to theradio@only1mediagroup.com. If it's music, please label it by artist and title. Here's my disclaimer. We are genre-free, we do not judge, and we absolutely do not base our opinions on hearsay, but facts alone. And actually, you can scratch all of that because all of my opinions are always right. That's the bottom line. This is my show, so deal with it. Nah, just kidding. On behalf of myself, Dini-Mussolini, I appreciate all you guys for tuning in, either afterwards or live with us. Spread the word, because sharing is caring. We stepped up our game just for you guys and our guests to make sure that you have the best experience here on our show. Be sure to connect with us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Tumblr, as well as Spreaker. We always follow back. That is the #1 rule. Okay, well, just remember to be yourself and be absolutely great at just doing that. Avoid being too comfortable, because you're messing with your potential when you do that. Peace, and have a good night.
You are now listening to Vigilantes Radio, the people's choice for quality interviews, art, music, and hot topics. Hosted by Demetrius Houdini Black Reynolds of the duo No Longer the Hero. All episodes of this podcast are available for free download at www.only1mediagroup.com. This is a Seventh Sign Regime Rebirth Worldwide Syndicate exclusive.